Our Daily Bread from Leipold's Cellar and Kitchen by C. Louis Leipold, writing under the name K.A.R. Bonadi, first published in Die Huisgenoot of 11th January 1946. Now that the war is over, maybe we'll soon be able to get proper bread again. What we've been getting instead is, well, the Bonadis are not in the habit of expressing ourselves in impolite language. We rather suffer in silence. For does Solomon not say, "A fool lets his anger rail, but the wise one calms it down"? I do, though, still manage to eat good bread from time to time. When my petrol ration permits it, I drive out to the farm. There Tannie still has pure, genuine farm flour that is ground in the old mule mill, a contraption now as scarce as a young woman who is satisfied with the nails that our dear Lord gave her. And she, I mean Tannie of course, not the stylish young woman, still sifts it from time to time to produce a first-class fine flour. I'm not sure whether it is unlawful or punishable, but if I were in her shoes, I'd do exactly the same, for I simply refuse to eat bread that is made from war flour. That is, but what did old Solomon say? And what is there more delicious, tasty, healthy, and attractive than a loaf of freshly baked farm bread, with farm butter or soft fat on it? I prefer the beautiful yellow-brown, soft fat remaining in the saucepan after a plump chicken has been turned into a blessed food offering. It has a taste that is unique, and with a sliver of biltong on top, what more on this earth could the most refined gourmet want? Bread made from sifted flour is always nice and white. Its color is different to that made from unsifted flour. Tannie's is usually grey-yellow and grainy, with a crust. Ah, that crust! It commands more than one exclamation mark. For the crust is surely one of the most important parts of a good loaf of bread. It is like the crisp chicken of a roasted suckling pig. At least it should be. Alas, with the city bread we've been getting, it's like... But let me not forget the old king's admonition. Tannie has her own secret method of baking bread, but I won't reveal her recipe here. I once tried baking my own bread. The oven was nice and hot. There were no unwelcome visitors in the kitchen, and there was a bowl full of sifted flour. For one with some talent and an inclination towards preparing food, the temptation to roll up my sleeves was very great indeed. I nearly succumbed, but fortunately my sense of honesty prevailed over my spirit of inquiry. I received my reward for that restraint in the face of the devil of temptation, when Tanny later asked me whether I'd show her how a learned chap, as she put it, makes bread. I fear that the invitation was couched somewhat sarcastically, as she knew only too well that I have no knack when it comes to baking a cake or kneading dough. But challenges are there to be accepted by a knight, and so I rolled up my sleeves. The result was first class, and Tanny graciously complimented me, although I know she prefers her own method to mine. She maintains that farm bread requires no milk, and she prefers old leaven to the bought yeast that I used. Well, each according to his taste. I take 10 cups of sifted flour, not sifted from the rubbish you get today, but from pure farm flour. 3 cups of milk, 4 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of sifted salt, a lump of butter, and a cup of warm water. The milk is boiled up with the sugar, the salt, and the butter, and when the mixture is lukewarm, I stir it into a packet of that shop yeast that Tanny dislikes so much. Then in goes the lukewarm water, and the mixture is beaten to mix it thoroughly. I then add, slowly, the sifted flour and stir until I have a good dough. The dough is then kneaded, and I admit that this is something that I cannot do half as well as Tanny or even Ayarosa. The kneading is an indispensable requirement. I really do not know why. One of these days, as soon as I have my own sifted flour, I shall experiment and see what happens when you bake bread without kneading the dough. But my recipe says, knead until it is properly soft and plump. Then it is covered with a damp cloth until it has risen properly. This normally takes 6 to 7 hours, and it is therefore best to make the dough in the evening and let it rise overnight. As soon as it has risen nicely, the bread should be shaped either long or round, as you please, and greased with some butter or fat. They should then be left to stand until they are twice as large as when they left your fingers, and then be baked in a hot oven. My first batch was not like Tanny's white bread, but in my opinion it was first class. The ayah said it would have been better if Bas had added a mealy potato. I shall try that one of these days. But when will that be? How much longer will the aftermath of war linger? And when will we have proper flour to bake with again?